Hey, that's close.
Nelson.
There's no such thing as there's no such thing as
Exactly.
My pen's right.
Are y'all screaming out? We good?
Yep, we're screaming.
Awesome. How y'all doing tonight? Awesome. We have a thumbs up. I like that. Y'all, thanks for coming out tonight. It ended up being kind of a rainy, crappy night, so appreciate you guys making the drive out here. We probably have another 10 or so that may still be walking in, so when they come in late, just like look over at the door and a little air, because you guys made it on time. So guys, welcome tonight. Good evening. My name's Lenny Frenzy. I'm the president of AIGA Raleigh. 30,000 members across 70 chapters across the country. Cool. So wherever you go, you have a creative home, you have a home, you have your peoples. What makes us unique though, right? AIGA Raleigh has a shared purpose. And that shared purpose is to create a place where design thrives for everyone. We do that through three main pillars, right? So we're going to do it through design empowerment. So not just increasing your skills in design, like some things are going to be happening tonight, but also empowering you to become better design leaders in your own communities, jobs, or yourself and all that. We've got design impact, how design impacts your community, the country, everything around you, how you can do some design for good. Uniting people, perfect example of that tonight, all of us hanging out and getting together. It's kind of a big hug of AIGA, and it all funnels into the fourth goal of creating an open chapter. So everything we do is sort of driven by a lot of feedback that you guys give us. So open chapter. Want to give a big thanks to ThoughtBot for helping us grab this room tonight for free. So thank you, ThoughtBot. Yeah, since this live stream, we'll clap and they can hear it. So yeah, thank you, ThoughtBot. Real quick, I'm just going to go through a few chapter events and stuff that's coming up. First thing that's coming up is tomorrow. If you are not coming to the workshop or you weren't sure about the workshop, there are still a few tickets left for the Webflow workshop tomorrow with Nelson and Miss Anna here going to be hanging out tomorrow. So if you are just blown away by Nelson's talk tonight and you're like, holy crap, I want to give you guys more money, right there. But I promise knowledge is power, and I know some of the kind of goodies and stuff that some of our attendees will be getting to do the workshop, so your money will be well spent, I assure you. Ooh, that was like foreshadowing. So the workshop tomorrow, because right, this building is confusing as hell. So let's just make sure that tomorrow the workshop is not here. For some reason, they saw fit to call two things American Underground in Durham that are just blocks apart. So this is American Underground, American Tobacco Campus. Literally, it's walkable from here, just to give you guys a point of reference. You go up a couple blocks, and there's American Underground on Main Street in Durham. Go inside and upstairs to the second floor, and that's where the workshop is going to be tomorrow, okay? So don't come here. Go there. Parking deck, literally right here, and on the weekend, hopefully be okay. But there's plenty of public parking around there as well, so workshop there. We have, Chelsea's not here, we have our, we've been putting out social media things about just getting out and voting. We have created a page just to kind of give some unbiased information on just what amendments and things are at stake for our state. Just go and take a look at them if you're yet undecided. And we put together a quick little video of those things. Just run that through real quick. My laptop video, just audio. Next week. Yeah, that video was motion graphics put together by our director of storytelling, Khalid Ray, and we have a no, we don't have a slide for Brian. And Brian Saar, someone who has volunteered to help, did all the motion graphics for us, so we want to thank him as well. Next week is our community meeting. It's going to be out here in Durham. It is going to be at the Fruit in Durham, and if you don't know what the Fruit is, it's the old Durham Fruit and Produce Company. Basically, they have refurbished it into this crazy awesome artist's space. It's just amazing in there. Looks fantastic. It's going to be so fun. Next Wednesday, November 7th, 6:30 p.m. at the Fruit in Durham. Just take a look it up. It's a couple blocks from here. We're going to be talking about ethics in design. So we're going to be talking about things like spec work and even like maybe interview questions that people have gotten that are like, what? You're not supposed to ask that. Just kind of those kind of things. And we're going to have some fun with it. Maybe do a little bit of sort of role play fun stuff like good client or bad client, good designer kind of stuff. We'll have a good time with it. So it's going to be ethics in design next week on the 7th. And Raleigh.aiga.org has signed up for that. It's free and open to everyone. Fireside chat. Taylor, do you want to talk about this real quick? I actually have your slides in here if you want to. I'll click through them. But
So we're starting a live stream series. It'll be Q&A interviews with creators doing cool things that we don't normally have access to. And this subject matter will be more so on less like where they find inspiration and all the bullshit you can read about on everyone else's thing. We're looking more about like where they found their spark in their field and then how they maintain it through ever waves of clientele and everything else. Our first guest, and you can't really see the pattern I made, but his name's Alex Lazarus. He was the former creative director of Twitch.tv, which is pretty dope. He just started his own firm called Lazarus. And it's the day after the community meeting. It'll be on YouTube, and I'll send out the link. So that short link actually brings you to Eventbrite, which is where I'm just aggregating email addresses, and then I'll send out the link 10 minutes before we start. It's free, so chime into the live Q&A, and there'll be some Instagram content coming up where you can kind of ask questions, and then I'll bring up the live stream.
cool. And if you guys have ideas of people like that, it's just another great way. By the way, Taylor is our director of United People on the board. And Amy is here as well. She is our vice president on the board. And there's Emily right there, our director of membership experience, engagement, and all that fun stuff. Okay, make sure you out. But yeah, so this is another great way to be able to bring some more content to the table than always bringing bringing speakers in and stuff like that, because that can get a little bit costly and just schedule-wise it can be hard to do. And again, your schedules are all busy as well, so it's just a great way, great idea to be able to bring some more content to the area. So I'm excited for the first one. Thank you, Taylor. And then we have our friend Mandy. She's going to be joining our community board. She's working on revamping our mentorship program. And basically is just asking what you would like to see from a mentorship program. And this doesn't mean like student and teacher type mentorship. This can be second career, third career. This is across the board, just the word mentorship, right? Because we all either need them or should be one or both. So she's just kind of playing the field a little bit and seeing what our community would like from it. So if you go to this link right here, and I believe this is also on our site, if not, we'll make sure we get it there. That will take you to just a small, 3 or 4 question Google form that you can fill out, and will help us sort of remap what this mentorship program is looking like.
It's actually SurveyMonkey.
Is it SurveyMonkey?
Yes.
Okay, it's one of those things. So we'd love, if you're not a member, we'd love to have you be a member. We don't push it too hard because really the most important thing is that you're just here and part of the community. But if you are interested, AIGA.org/join. There are all different levels at the bottom depending on where in your career, but you can also pick whatever level you want. You have your member disco.
To be clear, we don't ever require membership.
Correct.
I don't feel like you have to have it to attend anything.
So if anybody's at the door saying you have to be a member and asking you for money, they are scamming you. Like showing up to high school and trying to sell you the pool pass. Oh, I didn't know those slides were still in there. From our membership, ad lib, we get certain amounts of membership dollars from each of the membership fees that we are able to dump right back into programming for the membership. So if you do decide to become a member, your dollars go right back into being able to do awesome events like this. If you have a question about anything, leadership@raleigh.aiga.org goes to all of us. We'll be able to answer it for you. Raleigh.aiga.org, and follow us at AIGA Raleigh. And thank you guys for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. And so we're going to get ready to turn it over to Nelson. So this is a really apropos talk and workshop for me. I am the designer who has constantly struggled, right, like a lot of us do, with creating, having our own website. Do we do it ourselves? Do we learn how to code? Do we do the design and find a developer, and because we're designers and we usually tend to be broke, and we find a developer who will trade it for free or try to do it for cheap or all that kind of stuff. And I was going through the same thing for probably 4 years trying to figure out how to do my new site. And I WordPressed it, and I Squarespaced it, and I looked at Wix, right, all those things out there, and they're fine for what they are. And then back around April, I discovered, just kind of tapping around Webflow, and the marketing page came up, and I was like, yeah, right, I've read that before, about like, right, about just being able to get in there and with no experience, you know, custom design your own site, no templates, no rigid gridding, all that kind of stuff, no code needed like WordPress, and guess what, they weren't bullshitting. In 90 days, I learned the entire platform, launched my site, completely custom designed from the ground up. And I am a complete convert. We tend not to ever do content that ever feels like a sales pitch. So obviously Webflow is a company and they would love for you to go on it, but I think that what the core concept is and what the team is, like the passion and the love behind it, absolutely plugs into our core values of what we want to try to pitch. So I was really excited when Nelson here actually said, hey, we're looking for a place to do workshops, and I was like, well, hey, I just finished my site on your platform, so let's do it. So guys, please welcome from Webflow, Nelson Avalos Jr.
There it is. Hi everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so this question right here. Very, very, very common question. As designers, we're expected to solve creatively problems in the physical space, right? But more and more, we're being asked to solve problems in the digital space. So this question comes up a lot more now. And so, should designers code? And the answer to that is simply no. So thank you to Lenny, thank you to everyone for coming. That's my talk. Actually, no. The answer is yes. Code the back end. Make your databases. Connect that with your front end. Make sure your server technology is right. And okay, no, that's not the answer either. The real answer is yes, but code just a little. Now, before I dive into this more, just want to introduce myself. Again, my name is Nelson Avalos Jr. I am a customer success specialist over at Webflow, and I'm a self-taught web designer since before GeoCities was bought out by Yahoo. I've been fascinated with the web design industry ever since. And I'm also, I love Lego bricks, I love technology and gadgets, and I'm really interested and fascinated by space exploration. And the reason why, a little bit about space exploration, the reason why I'm so fascinated by it is because out there in space, there's all these questions. And as humans, we're curious about these questions, and we want to solve them. In order to solve one of those questions, we have to get the brightest minds from all different age groups, all different backgrounds, all different beliefs, all different hobbies. Yet they all have to come together to solve this one question. And to make, kind of like web design and web app design, you have to have great graph designers, great web designers, developers, content strategists, business strategists, all to come together to create something good on the web. And that's why I'm so fascinated by it. Now, a little bit about my background in web design. Again, I'm a self-taught web designer, and I learned to code first, because back then that was the only way to get your website up, okay? And so, to design a site, I installed Photoshop, and without any training, I just went in, mocked up something, because I saw websites out there, like, oh my god, those look cool, I want to do something like that. And after I was done with my static mock, I would have to code it, and for some reason, it just fell flat. Every time I launch a site, I'm like, this sucks, why? What am I missing? Something's missing. And it wasn't until I met my then girlfriend, now wife, Jessica, who's a traditionally trained graphic designer. She told me what I was missing. I was missing the fundamentals of graphic design, which is typography, layout, imagery, color theory, concepting. So those fundamentals, I was missing. I just installed Photoshop and just went in thinking I could make something look good. And a little bit about my wife, Jessica. She's a print and graphic designer. She loves package design. And her and her business partner created the Cowlick Appeal. And when Jessica, during her art school days, had to create a portfolio site, the professor would tell them, install Dreamweaver, take the code that you see in your book, and just copy it into Dreamweaver. And that's how you make a web page. And when she had questions about the code, it wasn't really answered. She would always wonder, what does this code mean? Why does it work on one browser, but it doesn't work in another? It just looks completely different on different browsers. And so that made her really scared of code when those questions weren't answered. So she said, you know what? I don't like web design. I'm just going to stick with graphic design. Totally understandable. But I've been helping my wife with web design. And so I would act as her web developer, and she would be the designer. And some of the things we've created together were sites like this, like Sherpa Energy Squares. Oh, that's a interesting resolution. So what she would do is her and a business partner would create the brand strategy, the brand design, and I would put it all together in a website. And so we would create things like this. Another thing we've created together is a San Diego vodka company called Misadventuring Company. And again, they would do the brand strategy, the brand design, and they would give me this static mock, and I would make it come alive on a website. And lastly, I challenged her to make something more unique. I said, do something that you haven't seen a website ever do. And she created large angles. And I was like, okay, this is even a challenge for me to code this up. But we were able to do it. And so through this experience, what I learned that makes a great graphic designer is those fundamentals, the layouts and imagery, lighting, etc. What my wife has learned is that she can bring some of her fundamentals into the web design space. So for typography, you can now use Adobe Typekit, Google Web Fonts, upload your own custom font, or even outline it and make an SVG. For imagery, you can now use responsive images. And for layout, you can use CSS Flexbox and CSS Grid. But that's where the hurdle starts for graphic designers when you're starting to get back into web design. Okay? So for people who are just getting into web design or already went through it, when your first class started, how many of you thought like this? This is your main thought of web design, getting into it. Anyone who relate?
Yeah.
Totally understand why. Because when you start with web design, you start out with HTML5, and then you learn CSS3, and maybe some vanilla JavaScript. After that, you would need to learn WordPress, maybe a framework like Bootstrap or Foundation, jQuery, a preprocessor for your CSS. And then once you mastered those, maybe some Angular or React for advanced JavaScript to make your databases on your site be more dynamic. Oh, and don't forget, you need to understand the server technology to make sure that it all runs smoothly. And then you're left with this. Not too hard, right? And so when my wife was going to create her own portfolio site, she was very overwhelmed. And so she didn't like web design again. Totally understand. Oh, and don't forget, it has to work on every size screen ever. Responsive design. Now, let's compare web design to other creative industries, like 3D animation, okay? A 3D animator can install Maya, and in Maya you would have your subject, and you can click and drag a limb or put some granular values into the tool, and it renders in real time. Same thing with 3D modeling. You have your subject, you have your lighting, you can spin the subject around, move your lighting around, Everything happens in real time. Digital artists, same thing. Digital illustrators, game level designers, photographers with their histograms, video editors, you can drag an audio or video clip from one place in the timeline to another, press space, and it's already playing. It's already been rendered for you. And lastly, visual effect artists with Adobe After Effects, where you can change colors, add images on top of your subject. It all just happens in real time. Now, web design. So when you want to make a website, you open up a code editor, you write in your HTML, you write in your CSS, make some JavaScript if needed, open up a browser, and load your web page. See something wrong? Then go ahead and change your HTML or CSS, save it, and then reload your browser. You need to add more to your web page? Do the same thing. Add HTML, add CSS, and then reload your. This isn't fun. This isn't creative. This is, this is not design. And so when do you get to the design part of web design? Now, this is the part where graphic designers would take a static mock and hand it off to the developer. And when they do that, there's a lot of things lost in translation to the point where you don't get exactly what you want, but you have to be okay with it because deadlines are there, and you just need to get it out. And it makes sense that there's a lot of things lost in translation. Graphic designers talk in things like kerning and leading, whereas web developers, we use words like letter spacing and line height. And so graphic designers either have to cut corners with their design or just be okay with a template. And when we all use templates, the web design industry becomes stale. Everyone looks the same. No brand or person stands out. Now, not only do you have to design a site, but after that, if it's a client site, you have to teach your client, after the launch, you have to teach them how to maintain the site and not break it. Because you've worked so hard on that layout, and you want to make sure that your client can maintain it without having to call you or email you every time you need to post a new event. And so, I was actually listening to a client call with my wife and a WordPress web developer and her client, okay? And the call took an hour, and I felt so bad for that client because I was like, why should the client have to take an hour out of her day to learn this new chore? And the WordPress developer was saying words like module, component, and plugin, things like that. Those are words that a business person doesn't need to hear because that business person needs to focus on their business, not on maintaining their site. So rewind to July 2013. I went to a web design conference, and they were talking about new tools for the web design space, and one of them was Webflow. At the time, they only had a landing page. They said this is what Webflow was going to do. I signed up for their closed beta, hoping to get randomly chosen. A week later, I got an email from them, and I played around with it for just an hour. After that hour, I was truly convinced that this is the future of Webflow. This is the tool that helps designers create for the web. Now, no one believed me, because after that hour, I went on Reddit and I said, this is the thing, this is the new thing, you guys gotta get into it. And you know how Redditors are. They're like, get out of here, downvote. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll tell my wife. And then my wife was like, no, get out of here. And then I said, you know what, no, I gotta tell more people. So I started a YouTube channel about it and started recording videos of me using Webflow. I learned public speaking and I went to meetups and talked about Webflow. And then I learned that there's a community forums on Webflow, and I joined that, and those were my people. I was like, yes, they're using Webflow, and I want to help them learn Webflow, and we're just conversing and geeking over this new tool. And 2.5 years of doing that on my own free time, the CEO of Webflow actually asked me if I wanted to join the team. So what I'm actually doing right now in front of you all is what I've wanted to do since that first hour. So what is Webflow? Webflow is a tool, a professional tool for designers. Okay? It creates code visually in real time. So what I mean real time is when you drag in an element, an HTML element onto your canvas, it's writing HTML for you. When you style that element in the styles panel, it writes the CSS for you in real time. For graphic designers, it helps you see your site being built, again, in real time. You actually see it being executed. For web developers, it helps us build sites much faster without coding. But we know that the code is still clean because it produces clean, production-ready code. And for clients, all they have to do to maintain their site is log into their page, edit their content on the page, and press publish. They don't have to go to a completely different UI, a different admin tool or admin panel. They just go to their website and edit it from there. And so with Webflow, what can you create? So here's some examples. So obviously our homepage. Our homepage was designed by our two brand designers, JP and Ryan, and both of them are mainly graphic designers who learned code through Webflow. And being graphic designers, they were able to build this. Again, no developers were used to build this. Let me see if I can zoom out. It has a better, oh, I can. Sweet.
All those animations and interactions are done visually in Webflow as well, guys.
Yep.
Like, that literally is done in the system. There's no plugins, no externals, like, yeah.
Other things you can create is sites with a lot of dynamic content. When I mean dynamic content, I'm talking about databases where you have large blogs, articles, whatnot. And this one website, the government website, they have a lot of content, and they were able to visually create a database without coding. And lastly, e-commerce sites. Pretty cool. Where are you at?
It's minimalist.
No, there it is. So e-commerce sites, you can integrate third-party platforms like Shopify, Ecwid, Gumroad, stuff like that, and integrate that with your Webflow site. And so that way you can have a e-commerce site immediately. So, what do you have to learn in order to use Webflow? Now, again, my wife was scared of code. But when she started to learn Webflow and I was helping her, I said, just like learning the fundamentals of graphic design, you need to understand those fundamentals for that medium. And the fundamentals of web design are still HTML5 and CSS3. Now, you don't need to learn every tag of HTML. You don't need to learn every property of CSS, just the basics of both. So, with the skills that you already have from graphic design, you can bring that over to the web, and Webflow can help you execute on your ideas. Because I truly believe, after these 5 years, I truly believe that graphic designers are the best web designers. And for my wife, Webflow has really empowered her and Lenny to not only design for the web, but also build for it and create a static mock, then build it, then make it responsive, and even set up a CMS for her clients, all on her own. So she started as a graphic designer, but she's she's relying less and less of my time because she has now become her own web designer and also web developer. And I couldn't be more proud of her. So we started with a question: should designers code? And I think we should change that question to: should designers have power? Should designers have access to the power of code? And the answer to that is absolutely. Because with this new power, we'll all be able to help make the web beautiful together. Thank you. Oh, there's one more thing. We just released CSS Grid, and this is what it looks like.
Yo, watch this. This is some.
Wait, we need some music. Thank you.
If you guys have questions, like start throwing them out, or if you haven't registered for the workshop, do that, because he will be showing you how to make a site in Webflow tomorrow, I believe,
Yep.
right, at the thing, but
Yeah.
mail them with questions and.
Yeah. Well, just a little bit about tomorrow. Again, it's a 4-hour workshop, and we're gonna do the whole thing from learning a little bit about HTML and CSS, and then we're going to rebuild the homepage of AIGA Raleigh, complete with database. And with time, we will have time to make it all responsive and add animations and interactions. It sounds complicated, but you guys will be able to do it. Question?
So where you were scrolling to the Webflow homepage and all those pieces are moving, are there examples of showing like what the possibility is with that? Because that's kind of the part that, aside from just laying out grids and doing that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Seeing that integrated into a platform without having to have plugins or
Yeah.
side code is
There-
super interesting. And we kind of just breezed over it. Do you have anything more in depth to say about that with respect to that kind of piece?
Yeah, so it's what we call our Webflow interactions, and it's just, if this trigger, then do that. And the triggers are like mouse click, or on scroll, on mouse hover. There's so many possibilities you can do. You created a sphere. Do you know the URL for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, are those things built in?
They're built
Like,
into
like,
Webflow.
I want the rotate function to happen now. Like, what's the?
Yep, all of that. 3D effects and everything inside of Webflow. You don't need plugins. And that's the thing about other platforms, is that in order to do one thing, you need a plugin. And when you have a plugin, it bloats your code because you don't know where that plugin is coming from, you don't know the author of it, and so if something breaks, you don't know who to contact.
Do you want to get over to Chrome?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. View tool.
It's like a full list of
There you go.
animation.
Yeah.
that You can click on.
I think I'll ask you
It's
this
like
tomorrow too,
PowerPoint.
but,
You do this.
So can you integrate SVG animations into Webflow?
You can with custom code. That's a good question.
Okay.
You can. You can add custom code to your Webflow sites.
Okay, well that's, so, because we've been using Webflow now, and like, I mean, it changes a lot of stuff for us. We can charge a little more money, but we don't
There you go.
We don't pay
Oh,
fire
yeah.
developers.
So Anna, can you explain?
Not yet.
Done in Webflow.
Can you explain what you've
Period.
done?
No, but like, so,
Right.
stuff like that, so
Yeah.
we're still trying to figure out, like, like SVG animations, and, this is awesome, but, when clients really like one animation, you want to drop it in this, like, size container,
Yep.
that's what we've been
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
Yep, you can totally do that.
Yeah.
When did you guys launch CSS Grid?
Was it a month ago?
CSS?
CSS grid was at the end of,
Yeah,
oh, no, the beginning of October.
Grid or CSS grid?
CSS grid.
Okay,
Yeah, beginning of October.
middle of October.
Okay, yeah, middle of October. So it's very recent.
We're gonna dig into that a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna dig into grid.
And then one other question, I've used Convert and I haven't really dug too deeply, but I was using something called Edge Animate to make interactive buttons with SVG graphics.
Mhm.
And I was just curious if there's anything, like what tool, if anyone's using any tools comparable to that to like import SVG animated animations.
So if you can export the SVG code,
Yeah,
then you can put that into Webflow.
okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Yeah, good question. In the back?
So you were saying earlier, like when you're dragging things onto a blank canvas and it's building the code as you go,
Mhm.
is there an option to like see the code being built as you're progressing?
There's not an option to see the code, but you can export the code. If you don't want to host on Webflow, you can still export the code and see what it is. Or, if you publish your site, you can just do view source or inspect element and you'll see the code firsthand. And you can just see, you can judge Webflow by that because you'll see how clean the code is.
I personally do host on Webflow, my new site, and having not dealt with web development or design for the 5 years before that, I sent my site out to friends and stuff who have been doing heavy web design, and there's a phenomenal group of designers. If you don't know who they are, they're called the Forefathers Group, and they do some of the best design out there. And he emailed me back, and pardon my French, but this was the email. Holy shit, dude, this site is fucking fast. What are you hosting it on? And I'm just saying, again, it sounds like a sales pitch, but just saying, like, I do host with them, and I was like, I didn't know it was fast because I hadn't really been able to compare for a while, but he was like completely blown away, and maybe they'll become customers soon, but.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things where the whole mission of Webflow is to empower designers. And how do you empower designers to build for the web? Well, you remove as much technical barriers as possible. It happened for YouTube. It removed a lot of technical barriers for people to upload a video. It happened like with iMovie or what other video editing tool. It's easy to drag and drop. And now you got like Premiere Rush or something. Yeah, and so they're making it easier. And so when you remove technical barriers, more creative people get into the tool and they're able to build awesome things with it. All right? And so with Webflow, you saw all those tools in my slides where you have to learn HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, then you got to learn the foundation, Bootstrap, and then on and on and on. So with Webflow, we've removed those technical barriers as well as the hosting barriers. You don't have to worry about those because once you press publish, we back up your site on Amazon Secure Web Servers. We send a copy of your site over to Fastly.com Content Delivery Network. It's the same delivery network that The Guardian uses. So it's really fast and it's co-located everywhere in the world. And we also apply a free SSL certificate to your site. So, and also every year that SSL certificate gets renewed. So again, remove all those technical barriers so you can focus on what you do best, which is design. Yes?
I do want to touch on the responsiveness piece of it. You could see in the last video that you showed, kind of flipping through those tabs. I know that as someone who knows a little bit of code, and is primarily a designer, creating a website that was properly responsive gave me like mild anxiety before I found Webflow. And so being able to flip through, you can flip through the different devices and see exactly what it's going to look like. You get to view it, and it always shows up exactly the way that you want. And you can move it, and it'll tell you what precise device, like iPhone 7, iPhone 8.
Yep, that was my favorite part.
You can show all the breakpoints, yeah.
So when you're looking at your screen and you slide the ruler, it says, this is a BlackBerry, this is a, it even says BlackBerry, guys. That's how, nobody, you could almost ignore those things, but Webflow still says, hey, if you're on a BlackBerry, we got you.
Yeah.
But to be able to scale that out and literally see the devices from phones to iPad to, and she's right, making it responsive. Because I had tried to do my site in Divi, which is a WordPress-based visual builder, and I just wanted to punch my own face trying to do it, not even the monitor. I just wanted to beat my own head, and because it said it was that easy to do it, but it really was once I finished my whole site in sort of desktop view, it took me only a week total to knock out the responsive views on all my pages, and they were pixel perfect, flawless. I mean, it's like just, yeah, I'm blown away.
So I know it works in a lot of different browsers. What whole logos into Internet Explorer?
Ooh, you said IE.
You know, I get that push no line because you know
Yeah.
you
So
design sites and old people are like, I
Yeah.
can't see the site. And I'm like, well, updating browser.
When it comes to outdated, unsecured, old, I'm using old browsers, if it's a client of mine, I tell them, hey, it's unsecure, you need to upgrade your site, or upgrade your browser. But then there's clients who are still in the corporate world, and they, can't. And so there are ways to still make your site work for older browsers, but it's not gonna be super perfect, because you need to not use any of the new cool tools like CSS Flexbox or CSS Grid. You gotta go with the old and busted floats and whatnot, So it's up to you as a designer to know those things. And we try to make our code as best we can to work for those, but we only say that it works on modern browsers and modern devices. And also, if you want, you can really put a pain in the butt tax for doing sites for old browsers. I've heard it done before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we deal with a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's still sometimes that people want to update the browsers, but I mean we're super excited about it. We changed. Our developer got married now, and we don't trust anybody else. So now we're doing it, and this is actually great.
You can do it all on your own.
I have a question about Webflow University. The videos are really fun to watch and
Yes, they
really
are.
cool. And even your YouTube videos. Like I've seen the one where you recreate the Stranger Things intro.
Oh yeah.
Really cool. Are we gonna see more videos in Webflow University?
Oh, there's
Now that
every week or so, we're producing more videos. There's a new one on how to use CSS Grid,
that was new times,
Yeah, there's a whole new series on how to create landing page from start to finish using collection CMS and CSS Grid. Also, it touches on accessibility as well, which is
Is it the same narrator as all the other
Yep.
videos? Because that guy's funny as hell.
that guy.
Oh my god,
is
it's so
wild.
funny. Yeah.
So he was asking about, Webflow University is on the site. You don't have to have any Webflow accounts or anything to look at it, and it is, to me, by far the best instructional manual. We're just gonna call it that, even though that does it a great disservice.
I forget the name.
Like I said, in 90 days, I went from 0 to I do client sites in Webflow now. It brought me back to web design. So Webflow University, if you guys want to have a rockin' Friday night when you go home, go home and pull that up and watch it, because the videos actually really are entertaining. The narrator's hilarious, but sickeningly informational. It's just amazing how much they pack it in very digestible chunks. Most of the videos are maybe 5 to 8 minutes, if that. There may be a few that run a little longer.
So this is the animation he's talking about. So this is a scroll-based animation. All I did was tell Webflow, okay, the letter A, from this point, this percent of the web page to this percent of the web page, move the A this way. And the whole container that's containing all of the letters, start with the scale of 10 and then go down to 1. When you start, it starts at 10 at 0%, and then somewhere around 75% go down to 1. And so I'm just doing that for each letter. And so you can create a scroll-based thing, and again, without code.
Yeah, that's
And
all
if
right
you-
within Webflow.
If you want to see the code, we minify it for you, and it's clean. There's no, if you understand code, there's no bloat to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have probably looked at the code of Squarespace templates, right? This is scary shit.
Oh, and at least those.
I'm trying to bash them, man. There's some nice people that work there, but
And
those are
so
actually clean.
for
I've seen them
Anna,
for WordPress.
so for Anna, this is a mouse-based movement where I really don't know how you did this. This is amazing. So, based on where your mouse is on the X and Y, you can tell Webflow to rotate and move and angle something. And Anna just does some crazy stuff with 3D on her free time.
So would that work with like a 360 photograph?
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, she's mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she created.
view, yes. It's like you move mouse and it rotates. Actually, I took found random picture on the internet that says 360 views. It literally somebody made a picture like 360 over there. And it's like a long file, which looks weird. Then I calculate how many parts it takes to create actual like circle.
Yeah.
And I put in each circle, I put the same picture, just shift that picture on certain pixels. So they would all together they create one
Like
shape.
a sphere, basically.
Yes, like a sphere.
Yeah.
And then I told, like through Webflow, through animations, I said that when you move mouse this way, turn the sphere on this angle. When I move mouse this way, turn the sphere or the circle this angle. That's it. And then when you open the page, you shift the mouse to the left, hover, like shift on. You don't have to click even.
So
It just gives you the view, like you stand it and you turn and you see the picture around you. Yeah.
So when you're telling it to do that in Webflow, what is it specifically that you're like typing out? Because it seems like you'd be typing coding, so I'm like confused.
No, you actually manipulate over there with buttons and applying some actions that kind of like pre-made. You just applying angles, units, pixels, whatever. Main actions already exist over there. You just choose which action you want on, like for scroll, for example, on which percent of the page, how percent of the page should scroll to something happen. So you just think a little bit ahead when and how it's supposed to happen, and applying and creating it inside of Webflow is part of Webflow. You don't have to write the code or think what function of JavaScript I'm supposed to use over here and how it will calculate. You don't have to think about it.
yeah. So example, because you guys are really interested in animation part and interactions, you're not writing code. You're just visually writing code. And so for example, like I told you, the scale of this whole container that contains all of the letters, I started out with a scale of 8, which is down at it's hard to see, but yeah. And then at 75%, I set the scale back to, that's line, hold on, where is it? Oh, the title, yeah, okay, at 100%, I set that back to 1. And so,
And that's the whole container, right?
yeah, that's the whole container. And so, you're not supposed to use Webflow in this weird projector resolution. It's kind of a lame, bad example, but as you can see, the green indicator is telling me where I am on the page. And so we actually see something happen in real time. And so if I were to change the scale to something different, like I click this and the scale is 8, and I say, okay, go up by 1 or 12, like that. I've just edited my JavaScript, and again, you saw that happen in real time. So now it's bigger.
Here's a magic question. How much does it cost?
Good question, and I'm happy to answer that. Oh, that's wrong.
Now, so while you're pulling that up, on the homepage example you showed, the Webflow homepage, you have all those animations that are like an isometric view.
Yeah.
That's all 3D transformed, right? Like the animation was probably created like flat looking at the screen, and then you just took that whole container of div and just said skew and all that. So all those funky 3D isometrics too you just literally a couple of taps on a button and you've got that very cool thing with the animations
This is
all.
why I like to play with 3D animations. I like to create 3D objects inside the Webflow. It's like I see what I'm putting together.
Yeah.
And it's like 3D.
And it saves the animations too, right? So you can recycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
The different
Yes.
animations too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a lot of stuff tomorrow, but I'm trying to knock out all my questions.
Yeah.
So let's say I have a really high resolution image that I drop into, to Webflow.
Yeah.
Would resize it and make it
Responsive images.
responsive, and then like let's say you have like a 4 megabit image, and but we'll resize it to like
We do it automatically.
would it change the resolution? So we'll create like different sizes of images automatically. Oh, this is awesome.
You don't have to worry about it. But to make sure that you're optimizing for the web, please don't upload 2 gigabyte or even 5 meg images.
Yeah, I'm asking because clients will do that. When you tell them just upload your image.
Oh yeah. So if they upload,
Oh yeah, full resolution, it looks better. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And they don't know. So
It gives you a warning too.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Sure,
it's best that you tell your clients about free tools out there like what I use. I tell them pick resize, PIC resize.com. Just drag up your image and then optimize it and then save that one and send that to Webflow. Because a lot of times clients will ignore your instructions.
I know. We know, but once we ship it off, and there's like all these emails are like
Yep. So yeah,
And
what-
suddenly months later, like, it's so slow.
Yeah.
Let me answer the pricing question real quick. Very important. And so you have account plans and you have hosting or site plans. Okay. So account plans let you do a lot more things with Webflow. You can start with a starter account plan for free and you can use it forever. You get up to 2 sites to create, and each of those sites you can only create up to 2 static pages and 50 CMS items. What is a CMS item? A CMS item is like 1 blog post or 1 author or 1 blog tag. Okay, so that. And as you upgrade your account plan, you can do more and more. When it comes to site plans, okay, so yeah, account plans started free, and I'll do monthly billing. So you have the Lite and the Pro, and with Lite, the biggest changes for the account plans for the Lite, it's 10 unhosted projects, and Pro is unlimited unhosted projects. And what an unhosted project means is you don't have a hosting or a site plan associated with your project. Does that make sense? Yes?
So it's like you're developing it for your client. You don't
Yeah.
have to host it till you publish.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And so when you're ready to publish, that's when you need a site plan. Monthly? Yeah, there we go. And so you start out as free, and then once you're ready to attach your client's custom domain name, thank you, that's when you would need to pay for this. And also that's, if you're using the CMS hosting, that's when you can invite them into the CMS. And yeah, and if you want to make Webflow your secret tool, you can remove our Webflow branding from the CMS toolbar and replace it with your own. And you can also use client billing. So a lot of our community members use client billing to forward the hosting fees to their clients. And with that, they can also put in their own profit margin in the invoices. So if the hosting is $20 a month, what they do is say, hey, hosting is actually $30 a month. And after your client pays, 10 goes into your bank, 20 goes into ours, and we're all happy. And including the email receipts, those are replaced with your own logo. So they might know.
CDN, global CDN, what's the
Good,
functional?
good eye. So regular CDN is, so the only difference is that global CDN, that's when we have to get more servers for you around Asia and oceanic areas. And then,
So for me, just to give you guys a real world experience, go up, if you could scroll up, Nelson, or down a little bit. So I was on the starter plan, actually technically today I still am. I'm getting ready to do 3 client sites in Webflow who will also be hosted with Webflow. I'm going to jump up to the light one first because it's 10 projects that I can use. So that's what I pay, just me. That's just for me to be able to have this playground of 10 projects. Then from there, I can pick a hosting plan for each one of my client sites that they will get billed for. So I'm not going to be paying 24 a month, or actually I'm going to do yearly, so the 16 a month, but I won't be paying 24 a month plus the hosting fee for each one of my client sites. I'm going to push the hosting cost right off to the client, of which I am going to, I'll probably mark it up a little bit as well, just, to do that. But so easy to like set up and do within the thing. And the hosting cost is comparable or better to me than like, you see that like there's those, $6 a month hosting sites, which always honestly suck. But if you're like on WordPress and you're going to like WordPress Engine or Flywheel, some of you are very secure, very well done hosting. These costs are 100% in line with those, so it's very easy to come back to your client and say, well, no, it's not more expensive hosting, it's good, solid, safe hosting at the same cost as anywhere else.
And did I say this at the beginning, or some people might have missed it, but yeah, again, Webflow, you have the power of, I already said, yeah, Amazon Web Host and their capacity, so again, you get all of that, and that's what you're really paying for. And so when you go to a different web host, it's up to you to set up everything. So, yeah.
And you actually can be on a free plan and pay like site hosting. You do not pay for their actual.
Thank you so much.
If you make like only one site, your client pay for the hosting of the site, but you still on the free plan, and you do not pay for their for your account. Yes. If it's only for like one site, like for example, if I had a client who I want to have my Webflow account, I want to have my just my site over there. I'm like, okay, you know what? I will just post it. But after I create the site, my client don't need actually like all these extra features, export code and everything else. As long as he's paying for the hosting, account is available.
So from a bird's eye view, broad level, how do you guys handle feature updates and?
So Webflow is a completely web-based app. Okay, it's not a downloadable tool. Everything's through Chrome or Safari browser. And the reason why this is good is because whenever we have a bug fix or a new feature that we want to deploy, it happens instantly. You don't have to download a whole package and redeploy it to your server. You're in Webflow. Once we release it, everyone has it. Okay, and so I lost track of the question.
And in terms of like on average, in terms of frequency, in any given year, like major feature updates, how often are you guys like doing, like e-commerce and CSS grid?
So let's go back to 2016. And so yeah, that's when we released all of that stuff. And then 2017, and yeah. So to answer the question, webflow.com/updates, we are pushing a lot of things out very frequently. What did we come out with?
A lot of that's influenced by user recommendations.
Yep, you can go to wishlist.webflow.com, and I'm one of the people who maintains this. So what we're actually working on and researching right now is user login and membership functionality. So people can log in and and register for your site and have a membership only page. And like I said, we're working on e-commerce, and so that's coming out really soon. Multi-language, we're researching CMS gallery. So yeah, everything's here, and we listen to our community a lot. And last thing about community before I get to your question is that 9 out of the 10 customer success team members, including myself, came from the community forums. 5 out of the 6, I think there's 6 in your team, in the QA team? 5, so 4 out of the...
One is engineer, he didn't know Webflow. All 4 of us who QA analysts, we all from the community.
Because we're all passionate about this tool, and we wanted to help a lot of people answer their questions, and that's where we came from. And so this is a really community grown tool, and we didn't even have a marketing team until the beginning of this year. So, yeah.
I'm gonna work for you guys someday, I'm telling you.
You got a shirt now.
Prior to like the WordPress days, were you able to make specific logins for your clients? You kind of had to give them your info to log in and make edits. How does that work?
For the CMS?
Well, like if they're gonna change their content, like,
Yeah,
do they have like a login you create on your side? Even if
You put in their email address, and you click invite, and it sends them a link, and they click the link, and they would make their own password, and they
So is that a fully functional Webflow account, or is that separately like
separate. It's their own account.
But it accesses only that site essentially, not
Yes.
all the
Yep.
Webflow functionality.
Exactly. We make a hard line between what your clients can edit and what you can. So things like colors and styles and whatnot, this is not MySpace. We're not allowing them to put anything that they want and break what you've just created, right? So they can't mess around with it. They can only mess around with content, making new blog posts and making, and so you make the style guide and you give them the keys to edit their site. And so they stick to that style guide. They can't edit anything else, just the content.
It's actually featured on each element. There's, in the settings, you can set the check mark that it's not editable. So if some part of the page you want to make sure nobody can screw,
Yep.
just put check mark.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
you can't change it.
Yeah, this looks great. And I have a WordPress website right now, and it's got a couple back-end plugins. One goes to a database for email lists for newsletters, and then one with a type form. And I was curious how those sorts of like other applications get integrated into this.
Great question. There's a bunch of integrations you can do with Webflow. Let's see, Webflow integrations. Yeah. So there's a bunch that we've listed. So you can integrate email marketing, and there's how-to documentation, how to do this kind of stuff. But yeah, if there's a third-party platform that you want to integrate with Webflow, if they give you a code snippet, which I know Typeform does, you can just embed that code snippet into Webflow, paste it in there, press publish, and you're done. No plugins needed.
One of my favorite parts that really got me going was like for email lists, you know, there's the, what happens once you've pressed submit and the email goes off, you know, usually it either takes you to another page or it always bugs me like if I'm on a site and I go to subscribe to a list and then I get whipped over to the MailChimp page to say success. Within Webflow, you can custom design the success and failure messages within your site. So like I have a little form in my footer, and when you fill it out and click, just that little box in the footer goes, bloop, success, and I have all my custom typography like right in there. It doesn't leave the site, it's not a garish pop-up, it doesn't go to MailChimp. That part like blew me away, to actually be able to do custom form success messages. Like everything can be designed to the pixel. It just blew me away.
I do my email through Gmail, so I can set that up. If I like connect to my domain.
Okay, so Webflow focuses on making great websites. Okay, we want to help you make great websites. We are not in the business of email hosting because there's better businesses that do that, like Gmail. So what we use, our company, we use G Suite. So you can point your custom domain name to Webflow, but your email routing, your MX records, can still go to wherever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go into Webflow anywhere and update that. It's just all of my Gmail is.
Yep. We don't touch.
I'm the same way, Amy. I'm exactly the same as you. So it's yep.
Great questions, you guys.
And if you guys are like want to be web designers, so I did my site, and I was very honored. Webflow actually like featured me on their Instagram, Twitter, and stuff like that. And I was in their showcase. I've gotten several inquiries for web design jobs, which I hadn't gotten in 5 years because I stopped being a web designer. And one of which I'm in negotiation with, I'm not kidding you, has a $15,000 budget, which is, I'm just a single guy web designer, and these people are looking at the showcase and seeing who are some of the top, designers or some of the recent stuff on Webflow, and I'm getting real inquiries and jobs. There's mine right up there in the corner.
Hey, monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, now
So one of our biggest, it was like over 1,000 upvotes for this feature. People wanted to copy and paste elements and animations from one site in their account to another. And one of the cool use cases for that is, what if you have a master style guide project, right? And you create a new site for a company and you want to use the same styles, just copy from one tab of on your Chrome browser, like a button, and then paste it into the other tab where your other site is, and you don't have to restyle it. You just copy and paste, and that one just
Copy code, HTML, CSS, and even with interactions, it will copy interactions.
So I can go to any of the showcase sites and copy anything like that.
No, it is only.
It has to be your account.
Great.
Copy, hey monkey, immediately.
You taking my shit, man.
No, there's a site.
I'll just tell you how to do it. Don't steal it from me.
There's a site that I'm trying to figure out how we did it.
But if it's in the showcase, like a lot of these will have, you know, where you can view, like, so you can open my site and you're not gonna be able to change it. You're not gonna be able to say, like, Lenny sucks on it, Taylor, so don't get any ideas. But you can
You
go.
can copy from here.
So this is my site. You can see how I built it.
Yeah, you can see what you
For
built.
example, if you have animations, you get.
Exactly. See how easily he did that? So he can't make it live, damn it.
Yeah.
When you copy and paste elements from your one product to another, does it, and you paste it to another site, for example, does it then adopt like the global color palette you set on that site? Or does it take
just-
everything like as existing and you gotta have a style?
Yeah, so you can't change the style on the master style guide and have it affect where you've pasted it.
Right, no, but
Yeah.
if you take, let's say, in your master, you have a blue button. Right?
Yeah.
But there's no blue on the site you're putting it on.
Yep,
Will you-
exactly. It
will you
copies
paste it over?
your styles, it copies all your HTML and your CSS and even animations and puts it on your.
But does it update some of the style from the, when you're pasting it into, that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't
Blue here,
update, if
you know, blue,
it has a similar class name,
Yeah.
then it'll just make a copy. It'll say
Okay.
like, if you have like button one,
So it won't
then when you
overwrite.
paste it, it'll become button two.
Got it.
Good question.
So, but if you use blue in one and blue in the other to name your colors, would that blue from the original site change blues when you move it to the new site? Does that make sense?
That's what you're saying.
Because your
It'll-
No,
CSS,
it's-
it'll
it's-
duplicate, okay.
Yeah, it's a duplicate.
Gotcha.
It's not gonna overwrite anything.
So many of community
Just like
members
follow it.
created this free sites for clone with kind of like components. They pre-style, pre-made, and let you clone to your own account. So I think the slides or cards,
Cards too,
Cards.
just came out.
Yeah.
So in the clonable tab of the showcase, any of these sites, you can just click inside and click clone. There's even UI kits, like this one is very popular.
Cards, is that cards?
Yep.
Yeah, it's so
And
awesome.
so this one, you can just, again, copy it from his site and paste it into yours because he opened it to everyone to use. And doing stuff like this really gets your name out there. It's kind of like Dribble and Behance, like, hey, here's a toolkit for you. And so everyone's like, oh, thank you, John Smith, I like you. And so that's how you get your name out there.
There's another one that the guy just, what was it, Lego Works, the guy did? It's like a full wireframing kit, like, for Webflow. Is awesome. It's like within the first few.
Maybe in the under popular.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, this one is really cool. Like, I'm like, what?
That's the one I was.
Yeah.
That's the one I was talking about, trying to get some stuff.
Yeah, I know how to do this. It's so simple.
Hmm?
When,
Well, I'm gonna ask you tomorrow then. 'cause-
yeah, I will teach you this stuff tomorrow. I mean, if I had all night, I would like just show you the world of Webflow, but I don't want to keep you guys here too long. But again, back in 2013, I wanted to tell people about the world, and I'm doing it now. And I will, if I could tell you 5 years worth of Webflow, I would. But yeah, that's too long. But yeah, these people are insane. Yeah, see, not too hard.
So those page transitions are also built on
Yes, with a little bit of JavaScript code. And the JavaScript is when you click on a link, don't move on to the next page. Wait a certain number of milliseconds, but save that link wherever you're going to in the browser's memory, and then after that timer, go bring up that URL in the memory and go to it.
Sure.
And so it's like a one-line JavaScript, and he just used Webflow interactions as well. Just beautiful stuff. Yes, yes.
On the CMS side, hugely appreciative of the fact that you guys been able to push that out to like a CSV. Do you have any other things that you can tease? Are you guys working on anything for
We're
CMS?
doing a styles panel change. We're changing our styles panel. Where the e-commerce is going.
CMS export?
Oh yes, yeah, that's what we're talking about. CMS export.
Oh,
We've already. Oh yeah, did you say export or import?
Export to CSV. Like
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
you can
Then
do
I can
that.
just do it there, and then
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it like living.
Yeah.
You know, I can just push it out to. Yeah.
So other features like the e-commerce is going to be huge, and that's coming out real soon. And the thing about e-commerce that blows me away is that, have any of you created a Shopify site, and then where you're like, okay, I want to not only change the color of the checkout button, but I want to change the whole experience. I want to make it more branded to my client site. But then you have to learn code, right? And then you're like,
Very specific code.
In Webflow, you don't. If you want to completely brand it, or even move where the checkout modal is or whatever, you do it inside Webflow without coding, and it's all visual. And
Even the customer receipts, right? Don't you?
oh yeah, yeah.
Decide
So
the receipts, the emails they get, like everything.
your product database, your add to cart button, your cart widget, your checkout page, your order confirmation page, and your email receipt to your client, all done visually inside of Webflow. That's what's coming, and it's gonna, yeah.
So when you say you work with the other, like Shopify and those other people for the e-commerce, what are they doing versus what you just listed?
So everything is templated. They're going to a more general audience. Hey, you want an e-commerce site? Build on a template, and next thing you know, everyone's brand, everyone's site looks the same. Sure, you can kind of customize it here and there, but then if you want to go even further, you have to get a developer. And again, we're trying to empower designers to build the full experience from start to finish and beyond for maintaining. And so the difference is you can completely brand the look, the style, and the function of your e-commerce site, and you don't have to hire a developer for it.
Now, isn't there an e-commerce teaser video or?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Since that's coming soon and it's so big.
Their platform.
That was the pusher for me to like actually go with Webflow because I knew that was coming.
That's
I
what
wanted to know
yeah,
store.
so they
So
process.
here's,
Again, our brand designer is
And
nuts.
they're doing
I don't know how the things he does, and like his brain is beautiful. So yeah, again, all of this
this is the Webflow site.
So again, this is a scroll-based interaction.
So you,
And so, so when you want to make a custom grid, so you drag in your product database, and then you design your grid.
It's always this quick, right?
Of course. By the end of the workshop tomorrow, you'll be this fast. Yes. Yes. And so yeah.
Start work with your fingers.
Yeah, right.
So pulling in the data as far as the images and the name and the price.
So basically what this is all these fields are in the CMS already and they're just connecting it in real time. So when you're seeing all this stuff pop in, all that data is already in the CMS.
because all those products are over in Shopify or whatever else.
For that, no, this is actually in Webflow, those products, yeah.
So why do you need Shopify?
You won't have to after e-commerce launches, that's why I'm excited.
Oh.
So you don't need.
After e-commerce launches, you want to use Shopify.
Yep.
When is e-commerce launching?
custom shopping.
Very, very soon. And people who
No, I've been asking him for 2 months and I just keep getting very soon. So I'm not gonna attack him.
Well,
That's
yeah,
actually why
very
she's
scary.
here. She's actually got like a dart trained at him. And if he tries to release too much information, it's like, he also just drops.
Exactly. This is from the marketing team. But, yeah.
What is it? Wait, go back to the cart.
Oh, yeah, the shopping cart. So again, you have your shopping cart widget and you can style it however you want.
Where it will appear, in the
Yeah,
middle.
in the
Like that.
middle, off in the left corner or whatnot, the style inside. It's all up to you.
So that's not out yet.
Very soon.
Every time we left, she gets an envelope already. She's like,
Yeah, it's bad.
And then the checkout pages as well. I mean, be unique, make it stand out, help your clients get more business. And this then in turn makes you more like a e-commerce UX person, because are people converting? Are people buying these products? If not, then what's wrong with my design? If yes, then you're good job on your design. So it's all up to you how you want to lay out your design, because in the end, these are just web pages, but they have a lot of back-end code that will handle for you. Yes.
Another CMS question. So if I am exporting like animated SVG code through like a SVGator or like Adobe Edge Animate or something, is there a way to take that code and put it into CMS as like I want animated buttons for each CMS entry, and here's the code for that, and I'm going to put it in each CMS entry?
Maybe. I would have to see a copy of the code and
Okay.
see the use case.
Okay.
So
It's like mouse over animation stuff. Like I don't think it's maybe too crazy complicated.
So if it's a mouse over animation, that does what?
Just moves SVG elements around.
Okay.
So
All right.
I
Well,
don't
so
know how
when
to
it
describe
comes
it.
to, and I'm going to say this tomorrow because I always love saying it, but like when it comes to Webflow interactions animations, you have so much power to work with all these triggers: a mouse over, mouse hover, a mouse click, scroll inside of element, scroll inside of the page. There's so many things you can do, but with great power comes great responsibility. Please do not use this power to Michael Bay your sites. Okay? What I mean by that is don't animate all of these things for no reason. Every animation, every interaction has to have a purpose, has to have something that pushes forward the dialogue, the story of the brand. And if you're just doing stuff just for doing stuff, then that's totally fine for experimentation or linkscars.com. Never been to Linkscars? Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna go to it, but that's a gem. It's the worst website, and it just goes back to becoming the best website because it's so bad. Yes.
Is there a way, and this is kind of a left field question, but is there a way to import, if you built a pre-existing site, can you import it into Webflow to then?
No, you cannot.
You gotta start from scratch.
Yeah, you gotta start from scratch in Webflow because there's so many different types of codes out there that even if you have like loaded code or something trying to put it into Webflow, it's gonna mess up. So yeah.
but you can, right? If you have like a huge WordPress blog, you can export those entries from the blog and pull them into the CMS and content you can bring in. Yeah.
So, to his question, are there like any pre-built templates available in Webflow that you can just start with?
Lots
The
of
showcase page with the clonable stuff, a lot of that's where that is, right?
But then there's also like straight up templates.
Yeah.
And so you can buy premium templates. You can buy premium templates or get some of our free ones.
Right. So like if they had all the cards down there for like a blog, or if you're like a photographer, or if you're selling something.
Exactly. We're working on e-commerce templates right now as well.
So that's the cool thing too. Like if you literally are, like you said, photographer, and you just are not a designer, don't want to do code, you can just come and grab a template, and it's still easy enough for you to start plugging in your photos and your stuff.
Or I mean, if someone's already designed something that's beautiful and usable and and like mobile optimized, then you don't really need to tinker with it too much.
Yep. You just double click, change the text.
Yeah.
click and change the color or the gradient, it's all up to you. And, yeah.
And there's all the colors, like color palette is global. So like if you download a template and they have the colors set to global, are colors automatically set to global, or do you have to tell them to be
Right now,
global?
yes.
So like you can load in the template, and if you change the colors, it'll globally change it through the site for you. So if you want to go through and like rebrand a template to your client's colors, you just go through and change the colors once, and since they're global, they'll do it throughout the site automatically for you.
That's done through classes, right? Or
Really, it's done point and click, but technically, yeah, you're changing the class of the color, but you don't have to muck with any CSS to do that.
From a license perspective, once you buy the template, it's yours. It's not like per published site.
Yeah, so when you're buying a template on Webflow, you're buying a single-use license.
Okay, so it is for whatever one you're working on.
Yes. If you duplicate it, it'll ask you to purchase another license. And some people get confused because they come from like a theme forest or a WordPress template or something like that. You only get a single-use license to use inside of Webflow. If you just want it for its code and whatnot, then you have to upgrade your account plan to access the exporting feature. Okay, so. Yeah.
So can you download a template, and if you just like, if you're using it for that, client likes it, whatever, but you're like, oh, I want that button. So you said you can use that copy-paste functionality. Can you pull items out of templates, put them into other stuff? Or does that violate the license?
I think it violates the license, and everything. Loopholes.
Go well, I don't mean like take the whole thing, but be like,
That's probably watching the live stream going, no, no. The guy knows Webflow.
Go ahead and try. It might give you some sort of error. If not, then yeah.
Is there a bug bounty program?
It might be protected somehow. Yeah.
Otherwise,
you could clone
the whole thing.
Individual pieces out.
Great question, though. Great question.
Any more questions? Then we gotta wrap it up so everybody can head out and get dinner. Emily.
What, if anything, do we need to bring tomorrow?
Nice. How many of you coming tomorrow?
Yay! There's still tickets.
Everyone goes.
Yeah, there's a few tickets left, but I think everybody here's coming.
Nice. Glad you guys are coming. It's gonna be fun. So what you need to bring is a laptop. If you want to use your mouse, go for it. Your mouse. Bring a charger. Bring an open mind. That's it. And you'll accomplish so much tomorrow. Again, we're going to be rebuilding the AIGA homepage, complete with database and responsive design, with animations, and if we have time, maybe play around with e-commerce, which most of the world has not yet seen. So you'll get exclusive access. Should I tell them about the benefits too, since they're...
If everybody here's, and somebody here's not signing up, that might make them sign up.
So,
honestly, after the benefits, you're literally, I think you're almost getting the workshop for free, if not actually making money, so.
So the light account plan, everyone's getting, free, I think it's 50% off the light account plan for 6 months. Okay, so yeah, so you're already getting value from that. And that way you can experiment even more with Webflow, and you also get access to e-commerce just to play around with it. Don't build real sites with it yet, but just to see what you can do with it. I want you guys to have fun, and again, it's to empower you all to try out Webflow and see what you can do.
And if any of you have used Figma, this is like having Figma live.
Yes.
I mean, so you don't, so I like Figma. But this is better because, you know, like, it just speeds up your process, you know. And I still work with developers, we do, but, oh my God, like, yeah.
You can prototype and then just take your prototype and start feeding it out and have your code ready site. Dr. Nelson, Anna, thank you so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at the workshop. Also,